Last time I told you about the great story of the universe and how the earth came to be. And then I told you about the great story of the coming of life, how the first life forms appeared in the water and how they purified the waters. And then I showed you the clock of eras, which was about how many kinds of living things and animals and creatures appeared on earth before human beings finally arrived. So today we're going to talk more about the coming of the human beings, and let's find out what life was like when the first human beings appeared here on earth. Human beings appeared on earth after many other living creatures have already arrived here. Seaweeds and plants have already flourished in the waters, and tiny creatures already filled the oceans and purified the waters. And then some of the animals and plants moved onto land. And as they moved there, some animals have become better in taking care of their young. And then the plants used the sun, the water, and the minerals from the soil to grow their fruit. So when human beings arrived, everything was prepared for them. There was food for them to eat, and there was a thick carpet of grass for them to walk on. Under the ground, there was a vast store of minerals that they would one day learn how to use. So today, let's talk more about these early human beings, just like you and me, and what life was like when they first appeared here on earth. The world of the first human beings was filled with giant lion caves and giant cave bears. And the early human beings didn't have sharp teeth to protect themselves, just like all these giant animals. And they did not have sharp claws to climb trees to protect themselves. And they did not have all these sharp claws too to dig the ground for roots or whatever that they could find for them to eat. And they had no way of knowing which food was poisonous and which ones would be good to eat. But animals were born with this kind of knowledge. So the lions would eat meat, and the deers would eat grass, and lions would live in plain grassy fields, and deers would live in forests. So they already had this particular way of knowing which would be good and suitable for them to survive. The first human beings were not born knowing what to eat or how to protect themselves. And they were not suited for any particular area here on earth. But they're quite like other animals in some ways. They had hair, just like other animals, and they give birth to live babies, and they nurse them and feed them with milk. But they were also different from animals in some very important ways. The first human beings walked on 2 feet, and walking on 2 feet allowed them to use their hands to do many other things. They used their hands to care for their young. They used their hands to make things. They used their hands to play with their children. Imagine how difficult would it be if you have to walk on 4 feet. Look at your hand. Your thumb, this thumb, is a wonderful thing. This thumb can cross your palm to reach other fingers. Watch me. This opposable thumb is really, really special. to human beings. With this opposable thumb, you can pick up the tiniest of shells, and you can use this hand to climb trees and hold onto the branches. And there's so many other things that only human beings can do because of this hand. What kind of animal can thread a needle? Or what kind of animal has hands to drive a car safely on the road? Or what kind of animal can draw such a beautiful picture effortlessly? Only human beings who have these wonderful hands can do such marvelous things. Another gift that the early human beings had was this larger and complex brain. With this larger and complex brain, early human beings could think, why does it rain? What were the stars before? Why could the fish swim in the ocean? Why is there thunder in the sky? What causes the sun to rise in the morning and then to disappear at night? What causes the moon to appear at night and to disappear in the morning? Because of this rain, human beings could wonder about such things. And then we could also think of what happened in the past or what could happen in the future because of this brain that we have. And with the minds of the first people, they are also able to find the answers and the reasons for the questions that they had in their minds. Because of this ability to think and wonder, human beings have discovered language and writing. They discovered numbers and mathematics and geometry. They learned how to draw. They learned how to paint. They learned how to compose songs. And these early human beings learned all these things. And these things have been passed on from one generation to another until these reached to us. It was the mind of the early human beings that could think and imagine, and their hands that could work, that all the ideas that they could think of came to life. And when these ideas came to life, our lives today have become much better. So we thank them for that. The first human beings were not suited for any particular place on earth. This could be a terrible thing, you may think, but it turned out a great thing too. Because human beings have the mind to think and imagine and hands to work, they could make their ideas come to life. So when they were cold, they would say, I need something to cover my body, to protect my body and keep it warm, just like the fur of the lions. And I need a den or a cave where I can hide to protect myself. So human beings invented clothing and houses. Animals have to stay in a particular place in order for them to survive. But human beings don't need to do that because of their minds, which could think and imagine, and their hands that could work. They could survive in any part of the world. The early human beings didn't need special kind of bodies that would be suited for a particular place on earth. Instead, they looked at what they could find around them and used them in order for them to survive. In this way, human beings have spread across the world, and with their hands to work and their minds to think, they were able to live in the plains of the lions and in the forests of the deers and the icy lands of the seals. They imagined things that were never there before, and then they used their hands to make them. Just imagine a bowl of clay. So when you see that bowl of clay, the first human beings have thought about that. I think I can make a bowl out of this clay. And then I could use it for different kinds of purposes. Human beings had one other gift aside from the ability to think and imagine with their mind and to work and make with their hands. This other gift is the most precious of all, and this is the one that truly made them human beings. And this other gift is the human being's ability to love. Human beings can love their mother and their father, their siblings, aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas, and very close friends. And some of the animals seem to love in this way too. But the gift that human beings possessed is a special kind of gift. And this is human beings can also love and care for people that they had never met. Just like some children who lost their homes and their families in a war, or some people who have lost their homes and have no food to eat because of a recent typhoon. These people who are in trouble may find that help comes from someone they did not even know. The people who helped might have heard of what happened to these families or this community, and they sent help to aid these people in trouble. This story of human beings began long time ago. It contained chapters of adventures with giant cave lions and giant cave bears. Other chapters would tell about how some of the first people reached new places on Earth. They traveled dangerous journeys over great plains of ice, over raging waters, and a burning hot desert. And on these voyages into new places, there were mothers and fathers, grandfathers and grandmothers. There were young children, and there were babies carried in the arms. As different groups of people traveled all over the world, they would gather around lights of fire, and they would tell their adventures and story of their lives. In the flickering flame of the fire, one storyteller would start to tell his story, and then another one would tell his own stories, and then another and another. And children will just enjoy every story that they hear from these storytellers. And one day, when these children would become mothers and fathers, they would also tell these same stories, and they would add new chapters of the story of their lives. Some of these early human beings left beautiful paintings and carvings in forgotten caves and big ancient boulders. And even until now, we could still see and read their stories when we go to these caves. Other early human beings wrote down the story of their lives on clay tablets buried in deserted cities. And you could also read these stories on crumbling scrolls made of papyrus reeds. And because of these, we can know the lives of the ancient kings and even the great heroes of their time. In the story of human beings, you will meet knights in armor, you will meet kings and chieftains, and you will meet unimaginable treasures. You will meet musicians who wrote beautiful music, and adventures of men and women who journeyed into the outer space. So this is our first story about human beings, but I have many other stories to tell you. On another day, I will tell you more about the lives of the early human beings. They lived a long time ago, but they were just like us. They had a mind to think and imagine. They had hands to work, and they had a heart to love, just like you and I. So that is the third great story of the coming of human beings.